There's a couple of extra things that we can also put in the URL, and sometimes you will see these. So sometimes you will see a question mark at the end of the URL, and then some extra stuff will come after this. So the way that I think of this is it's a query for extra processing. So let's say that you don't just want a service or a piece of data from the web. Let's say you actually want a service. So instead of saying, please send me this PDF, let's say I want the web server to do something for me. Like, I want the web server to log me in, or I want the web server to send money from my bank account, or I want the web server to compute this math equation and send me the answer. So if I want the web server to do something for me, one way to give the web server some arguments to specify what I want the web server to do is to use these extra query parameters. And the syntax for it is you write a question mark, and then you write the arguments as name-value pairs separated by ampersands. That's just syntax. It's not super interesting. But here, the question mark says, I have some arguments that I want to pass to this draw functionality, and I want to pass an argument named character, and the value is Evan, and another argument I want to pass is size, and the value is big. So one way to maybe think about this is you can think of the web server as offering a function for everyone to call. So the web server has implemented some function called draw. It takes in 2 arguments, and it tells everyone, if you want to call my draw function, then access the URL called draw and pass in some arguments using the query. So you can kind of think of these like arguments you're passing to the server so that the server can run the desired function for you. Now again, servers don't have to do that exactly, but it's a useful way to think about queries if you're seeing them for the first time. OK, I realize this is not the most interesting part of today, but there's a couple more we have to get through. So sometimes you will see a hash symbol like this, and then something comes after it. And this is called the fragment. This is optional. You will often see URLs that don't have the fragment. But what's interesting about the fragment that's different from everything else we've seen is that this is only used by the browser. So when you say, this is the URL I want, you actually don't use the fragment to identify a piece of data. Everything before this already identifies the data, and the hash is only used by the browser. And the browser can do whatever it wants with the stuff after the hash. One common thing to do is to scroll to part of the web page, which is kind of useful. So if you ever get a link with a hash, sometimes when you open it, the web browser will magically scroll you down to the right place. And the reason why is because you're telling the web browser, on this resource that I have requested, whether it's a page or a PDF or something, I want this specific chunk of it. And the web server will send you the entire chunk, but the web browser will scroll to whichever part you're looking for. So sometimes it's used like that. There are other uses for it as well. But just letting you know, if you ever see a fragment, that's what it does.